odds are this weekend, one of your favorite streamers got nailed with a copyright strike. Because Twitch streamers are being bombarded right now with strikes for playing music they just don't have the rights to. I don't know about you guys, but my Twitter timeline was flooded with streamers trying to delete their VODs as fast as possible. So what's happening and how did we get here? Let me explain that for you. Alright, so if you like our content here on YouTube, I urge you to head over to twitch.tv/theScore esports and give us a follow on Twitch. Every week, we're coming at you with multiple live streams with all the personalities you love on theScore's YouTube. Just a little more unfiltered, so you don't want to miss this. Now, let's get back to this copyright debacle. On Sunday night, I was browsing Twitter, getting ready for a week full of news, and I noticed one consistent theme. DMCA strikes. Every single streamer seemed to be tweeting about them, and multiple were reporting that they themselves had been struck. And I'm gonna get into all of that and tell you exactly what's going down on Twitch right now. But first, I've got to explain to you what the hell a DMCA strike actually is. Prior to filming this video, I had a brief conversation with theScore's lawyer, who also happens to practice intellectual property law. And he was able to break down what is a pretty complicated situation. Now that said, nothing I'm telling you is actual legal advice. He was just able to clear up some of my own confusion. Basically, the DMCA, or the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, was put together in 1998 to protect creators, to make sure people weren't taking their music or their videos and using them without their consent and not compensating them. As I'm sure you know, back then, this whole internet thing was really taking off. And they needed to put some legislation in place to protect creators when literally all anyone was doing was sharing files on the internet. Like, it was the Napster era. They needed to do something to police this shit. What the DMCA does is it lets somebody who wrote a song or made a video to identify unfair use of that, and then ask to be compensated or have it taken down. And that's what's happening here. A bunch of creators, or the companies that represent their IP rights, are saying, hey, you guys can't use that without paying us, to a bunch of Twitch streamers all at once. And to better understand the situation, we reached out to fighting games caster and video games, esports, and entertainment lawyer Ultra David to get his insight on the situation.
Years ago, Twitch just wasn't a big enough deal, and so rights holders just didn't care that much about it, or didn't even know about it, I'm sure in many cases. Obviously, that has not been true for a while now. Twitch has been a big deal mainstream wise for, I don't know, a few years at this point. It's not the case that Twitch has changed over the last few years. Its terms of service with respect to music, as far as I know, is unchanged. What's different now is that it seems like rights holders are being more aggressive. But yeah, I think as far as why that is happening now and not 7 years ago is just the greater popularity of Twitch, more knowledge of what's going on Twitch among people who are in a position to enforce their rights. When I talked about the Twitch in its early few years not caring about this sort of stuff, I think they were right. They calculated, they were willing to gamble that they weren't going to get busted because they were small enough. And I think they figured, well, once we get big enough, we will convert into taking copyright law more seriously. But there's no reason for them to do that unless the rights holders themselves are being more aggressive.
Now, when these strikes eventually started to pile in, people understandably freaked the fuck out and started deleting all of their VODs and clips. Because in the Twitch terms of service, violating copyright can mean a strike on your account. And 3 strikes, you're out. That means your Twitch account can be deleted. And for some people, notably the biggest names of the platform making a ton of money, that could mean the end of their career. And yes, this is all happening even though people play music on stream all the time. Even though it was the norm for years, it has always, more or less, been illegal. What's maybe most staggering about this situation is the sheer volume of strikes we saw over the weekend. And when I asked our lawyer about it, it led him to the hunch that it's possible Twitch has started to automate checking for copyright infringement, much like YouTube has been doing for years. Or at the very least, one of these IP collectives that defends creators looked at Twitch and said, hey, these guys are pretty big. Amazon, we could maybe make some money off them. One report that I saw said that the song In Da Club by 50 Cent was one of the big offenders here. So maybe 50 decided that he was tired of Twitch streamers using his song. The bottom line here is that the way that we experience Twitch might have been changed forever. I don't think we're going to be hearing a lot of top 40 music in the next few weeks. Okay, so I know, that was a lot about copyright law, but I felt like I needed to get you up to speed. But what does this actually mean for Twitch, for streamers, for me and you that are watching? Well, first, your favorite streamer is probably not going to court, and they're definitely not kicked off Twitch yet, so don't worry about that. And Twitch support has already tweeted out a statement regarding the situation. They said, "This week, we've had a sudden influx of DMCA takedown requests for clips with background music from 2017 to 2019. If you're unsure about rights to audio in past streams, we advise removing those clips. We know many of you have large archives, and we're working to make this easier. This is the first time we have received mass DMCA claims against clips. We understand this has been stressful and affected creators and are working on solutions, including examining how we can give you more control over your clips. We adhere to the DMCA, which requires that we take action on content and streamer accounts upon notice from rights holders, as happened this week. Our guidelines for music have not changed, so please reference them here." Basically, that's Twitch saying, hey, we're just the platform. In the DMCA, we don't assume any of the blame for any intellectual property cases. So, you guys should probably go and delete your clips. And so that's what's happening. Tons of streamers out there, guys who have streamed thousands and thousands of hours, have gone back into their archive and are starting to delete all their clips and even some of their VODs. And that's to say nothing of streamers that literally rely on music to do their job, like DJs or singers. For them, this might be a little bit more dire. And the reality is that everything I'm saying is based on laws that are like 20 years old. The law just doesn't move very fast.
For sure, yeah, the law is way, way behind. There's no doubt about it. In this particular instance, the issue that Twitch could ban people for is their infringement of copyright. But there's many ways that you could change copyright law so that what people are doing while streaming is not an infringement of copyright. People watch streams not because of the game necessarily, right? They may like a game itself, but in terms of, say they are a Street Fighter fan, maybe they're there for Street Fighter, but then there's any number of who knows how many streams of people who are streaming Street Fighter and they choose one to watch. And why is that? Well, they like the player plays well, maybe it's a funny player, maybe the player's chat is good, right? Whatever community they've built is good. There are reasons other than the game itself that they're interested in that streamer and watching that stream. And that means that the streamer's providing a lot. So what I would really like is for that value to be recognized by law. I want there to be some, probably limited, but some degree of right to be included in that sort of stuff, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when that will change. I really hope it does, but it's hard for me to imagine there being a lobbying force that could counterbalance Disney.
What's more is it seems like this might not be limited to just VODs and clips. According to video games IP and entertainment lawyer Noah Downs on stream the other day, companies like Warner have invested in software that's able to detect DMCA violations live. So that means one of these strikes could happen live in the future.
There's a company out there that's monitoring most streams on Twitch, and its two big investors include Universal Music Group and I think one more. I forget what the other one is. Well, I think it might be Warner. It is Warner. And so Universal Music Group and Warner have invested in this company that's monitoring every stream on Twitch. And they have the ability to issue live DMCAs. They just haven't done it yet.
From where I'm sitting and the information I've digested over the last few days, this could actually get worse before it gets better. And honestly, I think it might be time for Twitch to step up to the plate a little here. As part of the DMCA, Twitch, as a platform, is required to inform its creators about their responsibilities when it comes to IP stuff. That being said, outside of a FAQ-style guidelines, they don't really do much to help you out. Like if you're a 17-year-old kid starting on Twitch, how are you supposed to know about any of this shit? And that's kind of the difficulty with this legal stuff, is that the law is 20 years old. They had no idea that in 20 years, people would be hopping on Twitch and playing Fortnite with music when they were 15.
Yeah, I mean, that would be helpful. I certainly think that they could do more. Part of why they don't do a ton of stuff is that in order to abide by the idea that they are not liable for things, that they're just a passive platform, they can't, well, at least they're afraid of taking too much affirmative control in situations like this. They would much rather be seen as like, look, we're just providing this space. It's not us. Hey, we'll take down anything that you allege is infringing copyright. We do have these guidelines, right? We do have, here's the person that you contact in case there is a copyright claim, which is one of the things that they're required to do by law. But if they were to be all about it, if they were to go, you know, very far in the other direction of having a lot to say constantly, then I think their argument for being for not being liable would be a little tougher.
And for years, this has just been happening. Thousands and thousands of hours of people playing music with very little IP punishment. All that happened was your VODs got muted. And so here we are again. Much like the inconsistent wardrobe policies and the sometimes random bannings, Twitch has left their content creators in the dark about this music situation for years. And obviously the streamers themselves are to blame too, but there has to be some give and take here. This platform is making like mega stars every month, millions and millions of dollars. The least they could do is tell that 17-year-old kid trying to be the next ninja that maybe he shouldn't be playing Drake's latest song on stream. Bro, I have the Valorant bug, man. Like, I've been playing basically as much Valorant as I can at all times. Here's the thing, is I think I'm a pretty bad aimer, but Dimitri was saying this the other day that, like, when I do things, I get obsessed with them, so I just watch Hiko stream and, like, learn how to play, like, macro.
Short left. Jeez.